Right, we're rolling.
Welcome to the Three Intrapreneur podcast, where three entrepreneurs get together after work on a Friday evening, crack a can of old Jamaica grape soda.
Sparkling great.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, Christ, mine spit
Took
everywhere.
you a while, Ollie. Cheers.
Terms and conditions apply. Just joking. We are not sponsored by anybody. We make no money from this podcast. If you get any value, if you found it funny, if you learned something, please like and share it, subscribe, follow us for more. We'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, take it away. Who are you?
Let's do
Why are
this.
we here? What are we doing?
Let's do it.
Go for it.
Do you want
Who
to
wants
go
to
first?
go first?
Benji, who are you?
Who am I? Wow, great question.
Who are you?
Who am I? So, a bit of background on me. So, my journey has been very much standard, to say that. To be honest, it's
The standard.
school, GCSEs, A levels, university. Got my first job in a big corporate company. Became associate, became partner, and now I've broken free of that mold. Doing very different things in the real estate world. Trying to change the game with you guys, obviously, and it's going very, very well. And big Arsenal fan, just around the corner from where we're filming. Hopefully, we're going to win the league.
Very happy at the moment, aren't you?
Very happy, sitting top of the table. Big sports fan, and recently got engaged.
Congratulations.
As you did as well.
Yes.
We didn't coordinate those, did we?
No, but we did get a buy one, get one free on the
That's basically me. I'm sure we'll go through more.
Just joking.
along the podcast. And how about
Nice.
you? Who are you?
Who am I? My name is Oliver. I have been in real estate now for 10 years. Grew up in Hertfordshire. Very similar route to Benji. Was at some corporate companies previously. Last company I worked at was Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's, which was quite cool. Was in the top 1% for them last year, which was great. And then, like you guys, we've all got different mindsets of how the real estate market and the industry should be, and we've broken free, and we're flying, aren't we? So that's me. I've got a little boy, 2 years old.
You're a dad.
So that's why the bag's underneath my eyes, because he's up at like 4 a.m. trying to kick me and
No, you look good
shouting
for
out
it.
Woody in Toy Story. So yeah, he's my why, as they would probably say. There we go.
I was going to get to that later, but you've already answered one of my questions.
I set one of the questions already. You were going to
Yeah.
ask. Oh, okay. There we go. What about you? Who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you?
I'm the guy that sits next to you every day. I'm joking. I'm
I thought
Alex
my PA.
Ivagora.
That's what you got in.
Yeah, I can be your PA if you want, for the right price. I'm Alex Ivagora, and I work with these lovely intrapreneurs, not entrepreneurs. So an intrapreneur is somebody, we will agree, who works within a company. An entrepreneur who works within a company comes up with new ideas, who's very creative and is making it, carving their own path within a business. So we all run our own businesses within a business, and we thought we'd get together, jump in a room on a Friday night, instead of going to the pub and drinking away our sorrows, and just talking to a camera.
Yeah.
And let's see what comes of it. So I've been doing what I do for about almost 10 years now, and I've gone blank.
Can't remember yesterday. No,
It's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Wow, where do I start?
What was your first job, or the first company that you worked for within the real estate sector?
Wow. Okay, so 2014, worked for a company at the time who were called Edmund Cute and Booth, incorporating bushels.
Oh
Do
my
you remember
God.
them?
Did you have to say that when you answered the phone? Hi,
That's a bit of a
Alex
mouthful.
Ivagora from
Edmund
Edmund
Cute.
Booth.
Edmund Cute and it was just Edmund Cute. But now it's called Portico.
Okay.
So they rebranded.
Yes.
I think they also thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah,
small.
great company. They had a really award-winning training actually at that company for people who just started, and they would never recruit people with experience.
Mm-hmm.
Their thing was, we want to take on people, or not people, for the negotiator positions, the junior negotiator positions. That was because they also had a senior position. They had a culture of employing people with no experience so they could mould them into the person they
Nice.
wanted them to be. And you had a 1 week training period, which was really cool actually. I enjoyed it. And that was my first week in agency.
Nice.
Did you do well?
No. Still, I'm not
Sat
to this
at the end of the
day.
week.
And so my bank details. I'm joking.
This is why we're trying to do the podcast. We've got to try and
Yes.
save these careers
Yes,
somehow.
please help us.
Please help us.
We'll cut that out.
Nice, cool. So that's a little
Yeah,
bit
and here we
intro.
are. So now,
Here we are.
yeah, here we are. We've the universe has brought us together, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a
As the
reason.
worlds have aligned.
Yes.
We're here now.
I mean, if I reverse 11 months when I joined the business, no way did I think I'd be sat here, doing a podcast like this.
Yeah,
I know it's nuts.
Everything happens for a reason.
it
It
does.
feels a bit like deja vu, though. I do feel like I have like what's the word? Envisaged
Yes.
this, or it's like been in my dreams. It's
Yes.
weird.
Me and Benji have been in your dreams a lot.
Sitting on a couch with
Sitting
cameras
on
in.
a-
Yeah.
But I feel this is for you. This is like Alex is our host, aren't you, Alex? You're the host of our podcast.
Yeah,
aren't you?
hostess with the mostess.
Hostess with the most.
Cut that as
A
well.
position that suits you perfectly.
Thank you.
Centre of attention.
That's right. In between these two. Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
So let's get back on track. This is who we are. This is what we're going to be doing. As I say, if you gained anything from it, any value, if it made you laugh, please like and share. We don't get paid to do this. We don't run ads, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Are we not sponsored by
No.
the grape
We're
soda?
not.
The next one.
Jamaican?
The next one will be.
Really nice drink, actually.
Yeah, it's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then we'll go to the jingle. Dun, 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 dun. Three Intrapaneurs. By the way, can I just say something about your surname?
Please.
Before I had ever met you,
Yes.
and
So annoying.
and because obviously I knew you from social media,
Yes.
and you were kind of a big deal in the industry. Why are you laughing? Own that. Basically, I thought your name was Ingles.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
So annoying.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
He
And
used to
then-
call me like, oh my god, do you know Ollie Inglis is joining us? I'm like, Alex, it's Ollie Ingalls.
I do get that all the time.
And I was brushing my teeth this morning, and I
Yeah.
was thinking about that exact same moment.
You do think about us.
And mentioning it. Yeah, I do. I was brushing my teeth, thinking about you, and then I thought.
If you're watching this.
I remembered when I used to work at my
Sorry,
first
Harriet.
company as well.
Yes.
There was a guy who came to join us, who I heard was joining us. His name was Tom. What I thought was Dove.
Okay.
Tom Dove, but actually was Tom Dove. The whole office was pissing themselves. I didn't know why. So, Alex,
I
is Tom-
do get that
So
all
how
the
did
time.
you pronounce my surname?
Yeah.
No, I got that. Yeah, Weinberger.
Yeah, straight away.
Yeah.
I do get that a lot. And also in Spanish,
Ingles.
Ingles.
He's
What?
English.
Is English.
Yeah.
So it's like I get a lot. Sometimes I've even had people start talking to me in Spanish, thinking I'm going to answer them in
Don't look
Spanish.
very Spanish.
No, I know. And I go hola, and that's it. That's as far as I get.
Hola, and then they know you're not Spanish.
And they're like, where's your heritage from? Where's your background? I'm literally more British than they come.
Mm.
So yeah, where it came from, I've no idea. But I do get that a lot. Where are you
Igor.
from? Where you're Greek background?
Yeah,
aren't
Greek
you, Alex?
Cypriot, yeah.
Greek Cypriot. Yeah.
Well, I say that, but then my dad did that DNA test, and my mum did actually. You know, Ancestry.com.
Yeah, of course. Where does it tell you you're from?
Iranian, Iraqi, Mizrahi Jewish.
Okay, nice.
Shalom. Where else? Greek, Turkish. My mum came back as half Turkish, half Greek.
Yeah. Postman was
Um,
Turkish.
Italian. I think the majority was Italian. The postman was.
He
How'd you
was
know that?
Turkish.
Yeah. That's weird how you know
I heard he's
that.
got quite a few kids on the street.
Yes. And it's the weirdest thing where you look at
Just
like
like
each
yours,
other.
actually.
Yeah. Mine are brown.
Slick back hair.
Sorry, Mum. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah.
Nice.
Until like a couple of years ago, yeah, Greek. I was Greek Cypriot. Yeah.
And did you ever live in Greece?
No, I was
No,
born
you were
here.
born-
My
you were
parents were
born
born here too.
Okay.
My grandparents moved here.
Mhm.
My mum's mum moved here in the 40s with her family, and then my dad's side moved here in the 60s, and my mum's dad moved here around the 60s time
Nice.
as well. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Nice.
You
Literally, like I said before, born and bred in Hertfordshire.
okay?
And then with my accent, and it'd be really interesting to see what everyone listening stuff, because I get this all the time. So, where are you from?
Mm.
Because the end of my sentences go up. So I always get, are you from? Australia. I've had up north places, everywhere. Like, where are you from? Where are you from? And I say Hertfordshire, and I'm like, oh, it's a bit boring. So sometimes I feel like I've got to go off on a spin. I've got to create a story.
Just make something up.
Because with my surname and with my accent, I've got to, there's got to be a story there, hasn't there?
Yeah.
started out in Spain, went across when I was 3 years old to Australia, created a tech company.
I believe
How
it.
far can I go with it?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How about
your
you,
voice does
Benji?
go up.
So my mum is from up north. She's a Manc.
Is she?
Yeah, she's from Manchester.
Didn't know that.
My dad is from Belgium, hence the Benjamin name, Benjamin.
I was going to say, what?
Yeah. French, no? Benjamin.
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 Didn't know that.
I think it's just the way you say it.
So yeah,
Benjamin.
so Belgian,
Olivier.
English, heritage. Yeah, that's it. Chocolate, love chocolate because of
Love chocolate.
Love
It's a bit
chocolate.
random, isn't it?
Well, Belgium.
Oh, Belgium.
Oh, yeah, of
chocolate.
course.
Oh my god, wow.
Yeah.
So up north and Belgium, really. That's my background.
Good.
Nice. And we're all engaged.
We're all
We're
engaged.
all
We're all
engaged.
When are you getting married?
Probably not this year, next year.
He's waiting for Black Friday.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do like a triple?
We could do a triple wedding.
Do you
So
reckon
when
we
next
should
year are
speak
you
to...
thinking of?
Probably spring.
Oh, actually, someone said to me today, I think it was Daniel, he said you should coordinate on wedding dates.
Why? So we don't overlap.
Yeah.
But you're not coming to my wedding.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the rest of the team will come into mine.
So you're spring. When are you?
May the 11th, I think.
I'm April 14. So
25.
May.
no, 24
Next year, yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
24.
weird thinking next year
Yeah,
is
I know, already.
25
It's
because we've
crazy,
only
isn't it?
just.
Yeah.
I mean, January. What are we? January's already finished. 1 month
Scary.
down of 23.
Going so
Scary
quick.
how quickly time goes.
Honestly,
So we're all taken off
we're
the
all
market.
taken. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry for the
Apologies.
females listening. Questions?
So, yeah, we've prepared some questions to run through.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Well, I think Benji should because he was up at 1:30 a.m.
Go on,
God.
Benjamin.
Had some great
on
questions.
Chat AI. Thinking of some questions.
Chat GPT.
So-
Chat GPT.
I'll start off with a question for you, Ollie,
Okay.
and I think it's going to be a hard one for you,
Oh God, here we go.
and it will help give a bit of background about you and
Okay.
what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Ipswich Town
Ipswich Town.
to win the Champions League,
Oof. Yeah.
or you sell the most expensive home in the world.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And obviously
Oh, God.
everything that comes
Yeah.
with that, the
Oof.
finances, the kudos.
Both are
Kudos.
so
That is a
unrealistic.
fantastic question. For the people listening, I am a massive football fan. And I go to watch Ipswich very regularly. I'm not one of these, as you can imagine, a glory hunter. We're in League One. But that is a very, very hard question to answer. I would definitely say the second one. I mean, to sell the best home in the UK. You're right there, Alex. You're choking on your drink there.
So you'd pick selling the most
I think I
expensive home
would,
over
yeah.
Ipswich winning the Champions League?
Because, and I tell you why. Well, no, because both ways both ways are going to happen. Because I'm good enough to sell the most expensive home, and Ipswich, at some point, would be good enough to win the Champions League.
But will you witness it though?
We like to be
Yeah, I'm young.
realistic.
We like to be realistic on this podcast.
And neither are going to happen.
And neither of that happened. So, no, very good question. No, I am going to go with. Yeah, I'm still going to go with sell the most expensive home because with the commission I'll buy Ipswich and then pump loads of money into them and make them win the Champions League.
How much would Ipswich even cost to buy?
It's about, I think it's
Tenner?
£10.98. I think it was in like a crunchy.
What?
Yeah, they give you chocolates and stuff
Yeah,
to
they
take
pay,
the club.
They pay you to actually go
No.
watch them.
I have no idea. I don't really watch football,
You're not a
so
football
I
fan,
have
no,
no
so
idea
you-
what you're talking about.
Do you support a club?
I used to support Arsenal when I was a kid. But anyway, I've got a question for you guys.
Oh,
Okay.
Right, we're both here. Well, both? We're all here.
We're all here.
I forgot you were here. Sorry,
yeah,
Alex.
sorry.
We're all here, obviously, for, main reason I'm sure you'd agree, and in a commission-based role, so we're on no salaries, right?
Yeah.
Commission only, which can be quite scary at times.
Mm.
And I'm sure that reason is probably, you want to be successful, you want to be able to provide for your child,
Yes.
maybe send them to private school, I don't know, put them through college, buy them a house, help them with a first car, take them on 3 holidays a year, and you would want to...
Take him to Brussels to have some chocolate.
Yes. Yes. He's not from Brussels, he's from Belgium.
Belgium.
Wait. Okay.
Geography.
And so, my question to you guys is, what does success look like for you?
God, we're going right in with these questions straight away. I'm
Good
Benji's
question.
You
going
know what
for
I'm
this
like.
What is success?
one. Benji
Yeah.
can go for this one.
So
What does success look like?
it's a really good
To you.
question. I mean, I guess it depends what you value most, in life. You could look at it monetary, as you rightly said, have all the holidays, all of the possessions, which is a nice to have, but I'm not sure if that defines success, because nowadays you can go in your overdraft, anyone can have a nice car, a nice bag, those sort of things. So for me, it's not anything material. I think it's the impact that you leave on people's lives, in my opinion, without going too deep into it. But it's the legacy that you leave behind, and you might not even realise it whilst you're here. You know, for me, it's the legacy that you leave and the impact on people's lives that will define your success, in my opinion.
What an answer.
That's a very good answer. I like
Thank
that,
you.
the impact that
It's
you
a good
leave
question.
behind as well.
Yeah.
What about you, Ollie?
I mean, I think you actually summed it up beautifully in that. There was a little tear actually in my eyes.
Some tissues over there.
Some tissues over there. Look, I think for me, a lot of the reason why I did this was because obviously I've had a little boy, he's 2 years old, and I want to be able to be at his first football game, take him to football training, you know, be at his drama recitals and all the other, you know, and all those bits with it. So I want to create something where it gives me versatility and options to be able to spend time with the people that I love. And to be able to do it with friends and people that you look up to is just an added bonus. And I think also what we're trying to do here is so different to everybody else, and I think we all fully believe in what we're building and creating here, and I think people will look back on us and go, shit, these guys were ahead of the time, you know. So and also, like Benji said, to inspire people, you know, to be able to actually in 10 years time say I helped somebody. You know, I was talking to Benji the other day about people reaching out to us already who are just getting into the industry, and it's quite amazing to see kind of people reaching out to you saying, oh, how did you get to your position? How do you do what you do? And us giving advice back.
And what do you say? What do you say to them? What's your answer to that?
I am a big believer when you're first getting into the industry, you have to learn from the best person around, and whether or not you just spend time with them, listening to them, follow them, be the first one in, the last one out, try and soak up everything like a sponge, help everybody, you know, and ultimately don't just follow the money. Give your clients and the people around you the advice that will create long-term relationships. Don't just go for the quick wins. I think that's what we are all about, you know. So yeah, that's been quite cool to do, and I think we'd all love to help out, you know, the younger people listening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The thing that I find when those people reach out, the younger generations who are, you know, leaving university, leaving college, those sort of things, the question is, how do we get into super prime real estate?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, how do we just get there? You know, it's taken us all 10 plus years to get to this seat where we are now, and we've still got so much further to go. So I think there needs to be that understanding that you've got to start at the bottom and work your way up to the top. You know, as you said, you want to go and shadow someone, work for free. Go and find the best person
100%.
in the neighborhood that you live in, or that's easy for you to get to, and go and shadow them. Say, I'm not going to take any money. Go and find the best person that you can go and find it and learn. Definitely. And that's the best experience.
Couldn't agree more.
What was your first ever money, the first ever sale that you did? What price was it? All those years ago?
3 point. I've only started doing sales 3 years ago.
Yeah, so yours...
I started doing lettings almost 10 years ago now. So mine was about 3.12.
Yeah. So if you reversed it and said from the lettings, what was your first ever let? What was the,
Oh
what was
my
the
God.
price on that? Because for me, my first
remember.
ever sale was 130 grand apartment
Yeah.
How
in
old are you?
Essex. I mean, I've done this 10 years now, so I'm 31 now. So I would have been, about 21.
I remember mine quite clearly, because I'd never done agency before, and it took me 5 months to do my first deal, and I absolutely hated my job for the first 5 months. It was awful. Did my first deal, I'll never forget, in St John's Wood in Apsley House. Agreed to sell with a lot of help from my manager at the time, Annabelle, who's an amazing agent, and we were just about to exchange contracts, and the agreed price was £815,000. And I had told the buyer on the viewing, because there was a note on the system that the service charge was something like £3,000 or £4,000 a year. Turns out the service charges were actually about £12,000 a year, which is a huge difference, which, you know, as a percentage of 815,000 is quite a lot.
Yeah.
So on the day of exchange, all of this, you know, kicked off, managed to sort it. I think there was a slight renegotiation to 800,000 or something. I never forget, and every time I drive past that block, I just get this, you know, amazing feeling, and I'll never forget that that's where the
where
first,
it started.
and obviously the situation behind it, with the slight mess up, but you never forget your first rental or sale.
Oh, of course.
Never.
Alex, what about yours?
My first rental was off of Archway Road, or on Archway Road actually, on the corner, which is just near Highgate. So I was dealing with, my first office was in Camden, which is a really funky area, especially in 2014, even more so than it is today. And I used to deal with all walks of life, which I think was something I learned the most
Good thing.
from working from that company, or that particular office of the companies. You had, you know, single professionals, you had couples commuting into the city on the Northern Line, and then you had students going to UCL and the universities nearby, and the arts, there's an arts university near there too. So yeah, that was cool. You get to
What was the price?
Yeah.
What was the
meet and
price
deal
of
with different people.
What was the price of the rental?
I think the lowest I ever rented was about £130 a week.
Oh my God, what was it?
Yeah. A really
Studio.
awful one bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. On York Way.
But it's interesting you say really awful, but
Yeah,
to the
above
person,
a cafe.
but
Yeah.
to the person who was renting it,
Yeah.
that's their
They
home.
loved
That was
it.
their.
Exactly.
You
loved
can't have
it.
an opinion.
Yeah.
I remember learning that in that first week of training
Definitely.
with Andrea, actually,
Definitely.
who was my head of lettings at the time. She was great. I learned so much from her. She said, never have an opinion. If you hate something, someone else might love it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So actually, the young lad who took it, his father was in a really famous English band. I forgot the name. I'm not even sure I can actually mention it, but that was quite cool. And I didn't even know who they were. I was in the office reading the offer form, and it said his guarantor was this person. And I was like, "Who's that?" He told me he was in a band, and they're like, "How do you not know who that is?" And they're like, "You know that song?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I know that song." So that was quite cool. But yeah, I mean, going back to your question though, the questions you get from people DMing you saying, "How did you get into super prime property?" If you put the ball back in their court and say, well, think about it from a vendor's point of view. If you're worth 500 million sterling and you own a 15 million pound property in Mayfair, why are they going to appoint you with no experience over somebody from a big corporate company with offices all around the world who's got 25 years experience?
But it's interesting because
Doesn't make sense.
when I was at my previous firm, they used to look for people that didn't have direct experience in real estate. Perhaps they had experience in a service industry, but as you said, too many agents, realtors, whatever you want to call them, are quite opinionated, and their opinion could, you know, impact on the deal or whatever, or whether they offer a property to a specific buyer or tenant because they don't think in their head it will work. But actually not having experience, maybe not as a 21-year-old, but as a 30-year-old having been in a different service sector, that could actually work in your advantage as long as you're, you know, mature and you know how to deal with the high net worth individuals. Not being in real estate could actually sometimes work to your advantage.
Yes.
What time do you wake up in the morning?
Very random based off what I just said. It differs. Depends on my first meeting. I'm not an early morning person. I can work until 1 a.m, 2 a.m, as you know from the WhatsApps last night. But I like to get my 8 hours sleep. So I try to, depending on whatever time I go to bed, if my diary allows, to get a minimum of 8 hours.
That means you woke up at 10 a.m. this morning.
Today was apart from today. And I don't usually go to bed at 1 a.m. But
What
Okay.
about you, Alex?
I was going to...
that was
You're in
around
like a-
7 a.m. In my 20s, I could wake up at 5 a.m. no problem.
Yeah.
I would jump out of bed at 5 a.m. and
Yeah.
now I
No.
struggle.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know why.
not a morning person.
I can't.
I think it's
have-
because I wanted to get out of my parents' house so badly. Like, one, actually, I wanted to get out and go to work, and two, I wanted to move out. So it drove me to save up for a property to buy, to move out.
Yes.
Nice.
I used to just literally leap out of bed, go downstairs, make a coffee, write my goals down, get my suit on, go to work.
Every morning you'd
But
write your
now-
goals down.
Every morning, every
I
night.
love that.
Yeah.
Great.
I've got some goals
Manifesting.
in my room that I look at before I leave the house every day. my 1 year plan, my 2 year plan, my 5 year plan.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
I think it makes a massive difference.
massive difference. So one of them for me is to grow my social following. And whenever I see that, I'm like, right, I need to do a post. Is it going to be on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram? And it's good to have those. But you used to do it used to have goals every day.
Daily goals.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, it is. I think it's so. I've actually started to meditate,
Good.
Okay.
That's really good. I'd love to get into that one day, but I just haven't got time at the moment.
and very much into keeping fit, keeping body and mind active. And then someone said to me over Christmas, "Oh, you've got to start meditating." And I've always been a bit skeptical of those things. You think meditating?
No, it's good, especially in our job.
Is
It's
it-
so
do you
stressful.
enjoy it?
I tell you what, it gives you energy in a weird way.
Really?
Like 20 minutes, just middle of the day, go and sit in a quiet room, put your headphones in, take you away from your screen, close your eyes, and honestly, just decompress almost. And
What do you think about when you're meditating?
You don't?
I think it's you're trying to clear your mind. I think you try to clear your mind as much as possible. But actually, I've also started to use it as to kind of think clearer. You think of something which you might have been worrying about, or you've had this thing that you've got to make a call later on, and how do you kind of reflect? And it just gives you that clarity of being able to structure and position things in the right way. It's been really quite cool.
Good.
I would recommend it. And at night as well. I'm a bad of like getting into bed and sitting there on my phone for the last half an hour,
Scrolling through
doing
TikTok.
some emails, looking at something, thinking about that for tomorrow. And again, I've been trying to do like a half an hour before I go to bed,
Good.
calm,
Good for you.
no screen, and stuff like that.
I think you've answered this already, but what gets you out of bed in the morning?
My little boy.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
Next, a quick question.
Well, the questions.
Let me have a
we got.
question. I think I
Yeah,
must have had.
Ollie, what-
Right, let's have a look.
I mean, like, what gets you out of bed in the? All right, go on. And you guys.
My alarm. My alarm gets me out of bed in the morning.
Okay, well, on the kids, on the my little boy subject. So obviously, I've got a little one. You two haven't got little ones, but I know you're in the future. You both want to have little ones. Names of your future kids?
Well, if I want my wedding to go ahead,
Yeah.
I can't answer that because Talia will kill me. We have a couple of
Alex.
You have a couple of
ideas.
names. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex being one.
Really?
Yeah, Olivia for a
Olivia.
Yeah, we
Got a couple?
often, not often, I'd say every other week we have
Ah,
a
that's
bit
really
of
nice.
chats about
Yeah.
what kids' names are going to be. Please God, if we're fortunate enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Touch wood.
But yeah, I've got a few, and I'm not going to share them with you. Apologies.
Alex.
Okay. Well, I guess
What
we'll
are you
just
doing?
stop the podcast there. then.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I'm not
listening.
going to share anything anymore. Next week will be Ollie. and
I
Alex.
did promise.
I don't want to
Talia,
share with
so-
you either. So next question.
Sorry.
I don't want to tell you the answer to that either. Well, let's just sit here and stare at each other then.
All right, go on. Then. What
dear.
names? What names have
Olive.
Olive.
Yeah.
Olive.
Okay.
Harriet's grandma was called Olive.
Nice.
So
you got? Really nice name.
her sister's called Olivia after Olive. And
What if it's a boy? Olivier.
Oliver.
Olivo.
Olivier.
Olivia.
No.
Olivia.
Well, let's ask the Spanish. No, that's Italian. you should know.
Just seen they serve shots here for £2.
Should we get some shots?
No, I'm doing
no.
dry Jan.
No, of course not.
Dry Jan, yeah, got a couple of days left.
Dry Jan.
Few
Dry
days.
gin.
Let's go on a. All right, Leah.
You want some dry gin?
So no,
So
Sorry,
names.
where were
Olive.
we?
Olive.
Names.
Yeah, names.
Olive and Otto.
Names.
Olive and Otto.
Olive and I don't know. I can't actually remember. I can't remember. Good question though.
It was good. Right, okay,
Yeah,
this
too
is,
soon.
This is a good one.
Okay.
Last Supper, Death Row.
Oh,
That's easy
Chinese
for me.
all day. I love
And the
Chinese.
Chinese.
I love
mean,
it.
The Chinese is such a broad.
Mm.
What are you having?
Okay.
Sweet and sour chicken balls.
Why? It's very specific.
Yeah, no, that's what we want.
That's what we
want.
want.
You know, Chinese.
They
is-
want to.
Okay.
The people want to
It's
know
like- it's
what,
like saying
what
you
it
want
is.
Italian. Well, come
Yeah.
on, it's like, you know.
All right, you guys
Give
want to
us
know the
that.
recipe for success? It's the following: seaweed, crispy beef, sweet and sour chicken. So I've got.
So
to
what's sweet and sour chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet and sour chicken is one of them. Crispy beef, seaweed.
beef,
You've got to have duck with hoisin sauce. Oh my god!
Yeah, maybe it's a buffet.
I'm gonna get Chinese tonight now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fancy Chinese.
Spring rolls.
I don't know about
No.
spring rolls. They don't really turn me on.
Mm.
You can have duck spring rolls. That hits that duck button.
I would have duck spring rolls in a place that doesn't really do duck.
You would.
For like-
Wait, hold on. You would have duck spring rolls in a place
That wouldn't
doesn't
do
do
that.
duck pancakes. Do you know
Oh,
what I
I
mean?
see, okay.
So like if it was like a sushi, some sushi places do duck spring rolls,
Yes.
but don't serve duck. So yeah, yeah,
Cool. Chinese.
yeah,
Chinese
Benji?
is. Have you finished? Sorry.
yeah.
You're thinking.
It's just salivating. It's just
Salivating.
Oh.
Yeah. You've got,
Yeah.
Thinking that.
mine, hands down, easy is Japanese. Bit of
Japanese,
sushi.
nice.
Can't go too far wrong.
Yeah, that's
I could probably tell you what I would have. Salmon sushi set, edamame with salt, not the chili salt. Plenty of soy sauce, ginger, wasabi.
Edamame,
Edamame?
edamame,
Edamame. Is that how you say it?
edamame.
Is that how you say it? I say edamame.
Edamame.
Mummy?
Edamame.
Edamame.
So it's not mummies.
Um,
Mame.
How is this a
Edamame.
real estate podcast? We're talking.
It's not a
we're
real
just
estate
saying
podcast.
It's
edamame.
about getting to know us, Bree. We're getting to know us
Yeah, so
intimately.
Japanese would be my
Nice.
my go-to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. That's great. That's great.
Let me. I've got a good question to try and bring it back to
Yes.
bring it back to real
Bring
estate.
it back.
That's the jingle.
Shing it back. Sorry.
Square
You can cut
meters
Square meters.
or cubic meters?
Ooh,
Good
great
question.
shout.
Well, I got this.
Okay, go on in.
Okay. Repeat the question for me one time.
Square
feet
meters
or cubic meters?
Square meters or cubic meters?
So just to confirm, cubic meters for
More
the
volume.
listeners. Yeah, it's about volume, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the moment, I think we are obviously using square feet, square meterage.
Yes.
Depends which country you're from.
Yes.
One might be more popular than the other. However, going forward, especially in London, you get really high ceilings in some buildings, especially on the first floor or a ground floor of a period conversion. On the first floor,
Pardon you.
Carry on.
we can cut
We can put that
that.
in a bleeper, can't we?
It's just great.
Is that grape juice?
Why are we drinking it? It's actually like
I actually quite like it.
Oh my god!
It's got a bit of spice and everything as well.
Spice.
Okay.
it's better than the hot chocolate.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh my god!
The chocolate water. I don't know why I'm still drinking it.
So on the first floor. Sorry, one sec.
Do you want me to? Like,
I've got to pick up from where I was so we can edit it as one.
We're not editing. Let's just keep.
We cannot keep that in.
No, come on,
I just burped down the microphone.
No, it's fine.
It's natural.
That's
It's
what-
organic.
Yeah.
It's grape soda.
Enter code Ingles 10 out of it. You got 10%
Oh.
discount.
Oh,
10.
my pec.
Right.
I've got,
So
I'm
first
injured from
floor-
boxing. Yeah, so on the first floor of these period conversions, you've
Yeah.
got floor to ceiling windows,
Yeah.
and really high ceilings. Sometimes it can be.
we need to.
Got the giggles.
We
now.
got to
Got to bring it back.
It's you.
do some meditation.
Also, it's
Yeah.
very hot in this room.
Yeah.
Are you guys hot?
Yeah, can we get the heating on?
I'm incredibly hot.
I think the chap said that he could turn it off.
Where is
Anyway.
it? Where is it? Ah, it's there.
Where?
I said yes to him.
Well, that is the radio. Oh, it is off. Maybe we can crack open
I
a
think
window.
it's just. I think because we've got the lights on.
Is there a window there?
Anyway, let's carry on.
Okay,
So
so
high ceilings.
let me start again. So usually, depends what part of the world you're from. You would use square meters or square footage to measure a property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that might be changing, especially in London,
Definitely.
where you have very big volumes in certain properties. So in central London, for instance, in Marylebone, on the first floor of a period conversion, you're going to get very high ceilings with floor-to-ceiling windows, amazing cornicing, and a terrace at the front of the property. Now, that is usually more expensive than the, for instance, top floor flat where you have lower ceilings and your usual windows,
Yeah.
which might be less desirable than this first floor, potentially overlooking some gardens as well, which can be quite cool, right? So how do you value that? By volume. So if you're measuring things by
Just square foot.
exactly.
It's not going to read.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
how can you have a first floor in one building that has 2.5 meter ceiling heights, but is 1,000 square foot, valued the same as 1,000 square foot flat in a building of 4 meter ceiling heights?
Yeah.
It can't be the
Exactly.
same.
It's going to be
So-
more
sorry,
desirable,
that's-
so it's worth more. So we should, or will, I think, start.
Do they do it in the States? I think they do it in America where they do cubic. I think. I mean, do you see some of the volume that they've got in those?
I know that in some countries in the world, they even take, for instance, half of the outside space and use that as contribution
that's
towards
right.
the overall space.
Yeah, that's true.
And that might be included in the pound per square foot and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So I think they do that in Israel, actually.
I think they do a lot of places.
Yeah.
But yeah, cubic is definitely the way forward. Most definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I mean, look, London, we are very price per square foot led. You know, as us as agents have done this for 10 years. You know,
But hasn't that come around recently? I don't think it's been like that forever,
price
has
per
it?
square foot.
Yeah.
I think it's been for all I can remember.
Well,
it has been.
I don't think they do pound per square foot outside of prime central London.
No, you can't.
Because I've worked with some agents who have
Yeah.
come in from out
Yeah.
and don't know what pound per square foot is. They kind of just go on comparable sales on the
Yeah.
street, you know, looking at it rather than looking at a floor plan.
Definitely. Yeah.
I
Hertfordshire
think-
is like that a lot. I was obviously out there yesterday looking at a couple of houses and
How'd that go?
Yeah, it was great. And like you say, you can't look at. I even asked the agent who was showing me around, what's the square footage of this place? She didn't actually know.
What?
Even though she's a very, very good agent in the area, but they don't work in square footage. They rarely get asked, what's the total
what do they
square
work
footage?
in?
Can you imagine trying to sell something in London and not
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 knowing
knowing
square foot. You
the
know,
square
for like
footage?
101 to be an agent, know your square
blows
foot.
my
You
mind.
know, like everything before you go out.
I can get sometimes you might forget. All right, let me just check. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with so many properties.
But again, for them,
It's
it
this.
was next door had sold at a certain price, and it was looking at that compared to that, and looking at semi-detached compared to detached, and bunk, you know, and so that's how they value out there. It's very much different to here. But I don't know about you, but for me, you know, price per square foot is obviously a big thing. But like you say, you have to go and see these places. The volume is such a massive thing nowadays. Amenities in buildings. And I just saw Alex like glinting his eyes, just like looking at me. Just a little smirk in the corner.
Do you
of
want
his
to share
face.
what you're laughing at?
I just remembered the burp. Sorry.
Well, the burps come back. You know, you have to, and in London it's so rare, isn't it? Like you walk around a corner, or you walk to a building next door, and it's completely different. The price per square
Sorry, I
foot.
can't.
You can't even hold
Pause.
it. Pause.
He's also
What do you mean
breathing in my
pause on
ear.
a live
can hear
podcast?
him
That's what I
laughing.
mean.
I'm breathing in the microphone, I'm not
It's-
breathing in your ear.
Yeah, we can't pause on a live podcast. We're not live.
So much pain. Ugh. Ooh, I'm also
Going
very
straight to that
hot.
heart. Got shooting pains
Yeah.
up your arm.
Wow, I've almost been speaking for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've got an idea. Why don't you give us a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a question?
Yeah.
Which will take your mind off your pectoral pains.
Yeah. And that shooting pains up your arm.
Good question so far, no?
They are, yeah. I wonder if the people listening kind of think, oh wow, I really know Benji, Alex, and I've
Okay.
I've got a fantastic question. When we're ready.
You ready?
you first.
Ready.
Let's do it.
Why this job?
Why this job? Interesting. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you kick it off.
So it's quite an interesting story actually about how I even got into this industry, because prior to being in the real estate industry, I was actually selling gym memberships. Okay, I used to love it. I had a fantastic sales manager who literally taught me everything I know: how to sit down, overcome objections, needs analysis, emotional needs analysis. It sounds quite bad, but when I was actually trying to sign people up for a gym, I'd almost like want them to be emotionally, down, because I was then able to build them back up about how the gym was going to change their life and everything. So anyway, one day guy walked in and sat down with him for an hour, signed him up for the gym, 2-year contract, blah, blah, blah. 10 days later or so, he came back to me, he said, I didn't actually want to join the gym. I was just like kind of walking in and I just wanted to have a look around, and suddenly like I was joining up for the gym. I was like, and I got home and spoke to my wife and she was like,
I'm a good salesman.
oh my God, that guy's great. And he owned, pardon?
Were you married?
No, he went home to his wife.
Oh, sorry.
Did sound like that.
And she was like, why have you signed up to the gym? And he was like, well, the guy was just fantastic. I really think I'll get the goals that I want to hit. So anyway, he came back to me and he said, have you ever thought about being an estate agent? And I was like, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like, selling one-on-one and overcoming those objections and all the rest of it. And he said, so I said, I've never really thought about it. He said, look, why don't you come and just spend a day with us? And I was like, okay, cool. When I spent a day there and ended up joining him, literally like 24 hours later, I had in my notice at the gym.
Wow.
And that's how I got into agency.
Amazing.
Well, great
So
story.
for me, it was like quite not a luck thing, but it was, if I'd never met that guy and actually signed him up for the gym, I probably might not have been in agency.
But what
now.
made you
You might
jump
not be sat
from?
here right now.
Yeah.
What made you jump from your
Yeah.
gym to that?
There was something about, I went out with him on some appointments and we I think it was helping people and the advice and I love the property side of things. My uncle had done some development stuff before, so I'd always been quite interested in like site management and how properties were being built and all the rest. So I was like, yeah, do you know what? This does look cool. And literally from then on, just felt like we probably all said, you fall in love with it. Like you just sleep, breathe. You love it every single day. You love meeting people. The properties that we sell now, obviously we're extremely lucky to be able to advise our clients on, and it's just the buzz that you get when you do a deal and you see, you hand over the keys or you're like day of completion for your client. There's nothing else quite like that feeling. And so that was it really for me. It was just the love of it, we talk about it, we're all messaging each other like 10 o'clock at night talking about stuff, and until that buzz goes and until that day that flame dies, that's the day where you kind of think, you know what, this is the end for me. But that buzz, that fire just keeps growing almost. It's almost the opposite.
Good.
What about you?
Benjamin, what about you?
What was the question again? Why this job? Well, my parents had dabbled in some form of real estate, bought a property, did it up, sold it, and I was always fascinated by that. Worked at the local agency in my neighbourhood when my parents were selling their home. Was a lettings agent on a Saturday for a few hours, running around doing all their dirty work, but I loved it. Then I went to university, graduated, and I was like, shit, I need to get a job. I need to earn some money. Fortunately knew Mr. Super Prime, and he ignored me for 4 months. Genuinely ignored me on Instagram for 4 months, and sent one last message saying, listen, if you can't help me get into Knight Frank, I will speak to someone else. And then he finally responded, set me up an interview with my boss, Jamie Simpson, who's a great man, and then never looked back. Was in that office for 7.5 years. So I think why the job, a bit of being around real estate when I was younger, watching the classic TV programs where you see they buy the properties, do them up, sell them on. Loved those programs. And then just knowing some people in the industry, seeing what they did, was like, that looks quite cool. Let's give it a shot. Didn't need any qualifications, although I had my degree. And yeah, haven't looked back.
Nice.
And didn't like it at the beginning, in truth. First 5 months, hated it. But then had really good people around me. And now just live, sleep and breathe homes.
Yeah. What about you, Al?
Thanks for sharing that.
Of course, that's
that
why
was
I'm
beautiful.
Here. Oh, it's okay.
Especially the bit when Daniel was ignoring you.
He can't afford to ignore me now.
For me, I always knew that I could work really hard. I was, thank God, touch wood. I was born with this energy ever since I was a kid. These guys know what I'm talking about because they sit next to me in the office.
Bounces off walls.
Yeah, I can't even drink caffeine because I just go mad. I go hyper. So anyway, I had this energy and I always knew I could work really hard. I found school really boring. I wasn't very academic and I always wanted to just go and work. And I realised quite quickly during my university years that when I do work, I want to get into a commission-based role because you can kind of control how much you're going to earn. It's reward-based, isn't it? The harder you work, the more you earn. And it was that thought process that sent me into a commission-based role. I was in another one, which I don't like talking about too much, but I was selling things over the telephone. Bad time in my life. And then I got away from that after a year and I thought that property was always something I wanted to end up in eventually, property investing, that is. I wanted to just go and make money to invest in property. And so I thought, well, why don't I apply my sales skills that I'd learned, selling things over the telephone to a face-to-face sales role, also backed by an asset which I actually believe in, which is property. Yeah. And at the same time, I can learn about property and property investing. Yeah. So I actually applied for a sales role at my first company. And they said, actually, we think you're more suitable for lettings and to Camden, the area. Because, they place you where they think you'd do best. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I smashed it. Yeah. Loved it. Like you said, you live and breathe it. Yeah, you live and breathe it. Yeah, I think it's the best job.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is the best job. That's why I got into it initially. So why this job? It was mainly for the commission at the beginning, being in control of what you earn as opposed to a salary, fixed salary per year. I think that kind of scares me because you have to ask somebody for a pay rise.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but that scares the hell out of me.
This, I don't know if it's the world, but I know the UK live for a salary. It's
It's security, isn't it? They know
the
what's coming in
security.
next month, but
And-
they're in control of what they're going to give you.
Yeah,
Your employer.
yeah, and that's what we're
Breaking through that model.
breaking free from. And I
Yeah.
think if we fast forward a few years, I think quite a few more will be. But yeah, everyone craves the comfort, and
Yeah.
I know I did that for a few years at the
Yeah.
back end of my time.
Do you think the industry is going in that direction then?
It has to, because people want to deal with people and individuals, as we all know and we all breathe. Is people want to work with people they like, trust, and respect,
Yeah.
and they don't care who they work for, where they work. They want to deal with a person, and I think we try to replicate a lot of what the US do, and we're well behind the US, especially in real estate. You look what they do over there with the brokerage system, which we're doing here. So I think the market is definitely going in that way.
Yeah.
The system that we've got going is going to help facilitate, and what we're doing right now. People watching, used to work at a big corporate, as did I, and look at what we're doing. We're going into some of the best homes in the UK, and
Probably on the planet as well.
probably on the planet, and we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still going, and I think there's another reason why I wanted.
They
to
make
do-
you think that you can't do
For
that and
sure,
you'll be
for
nothing
sure.
if you leave and you're an
Yeah.
idiot for
Yeah.
leaving. Right?
and
They brainwash you.
And part of me wanted to do this is because we have a lot of people in the broker community that will be watching this,
Yeah.
that this is going to give them hope,
Yeah.
and they're going to see what we do, and they'll think, well, hang on, if they can do it,
Yeah.
I can do it, because I'm also
Yeah.
really good at what I do, and I'm very passionate about what I do, and I've got a great story, and actually a lot of my clients really like me,
Yeah.
and I'm friends with some of my clients, so maybe I can break free of the corporate model,
Yeah.
and do it by myself.
Yeah. The power is shifting now, isn't it? The employees now have more power than the employer. And I think one thing that we've done,
Sorry, why do you think that is?
I think, well, based upon the fact that I think throughout our careers and what us three have done is we've built relationships with clients through trust and the advice that we give, and they come back to us because we've done them a good job, or we've serviced them for many years, we've given them advice for free, and they come back to us for us, and so therefore now they're coming back to us, not the company.
But do
Doesn't
you
matter
think that has
who's
anything
above
to
the
do
door.
with social media at all?
Look, social media, we all know, and we all push it, is a massive factor to meet new people and show people how we can add value, and how but I don't think that's the ultimate.
Well, when you say the employee has become more powerful, just as powerful as the employer,
Yeah.
I think that's flipped recently. And I think it's because of social media.
Okay.
I think that's why I got a lot of stick in one of my ex-companies.
For sure.
When I started posting on social media,
Yeah.
I don't know, when was it, 7 years ago or so, they hated it. They didn't like it.
I remember you saying.
And they would berate me and pull me into meetings. Why are you doing this? Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And they could see the traction I was getting. They hated it.
Yeah.
And I started becoming
Do you know why?
bigger.
Do you know why they? Yeah.
Yeah, because you become just as powerful as that
Exactly. Yeah.
conglomerate
Yeah.
with offices all around the world, which are now becoming insignificant.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
cares that you have an office on a high street anymore. When was the last time a buyer or a seller walked into an office or went to a shop to go and buy a property? You don't. You go onto the internet. And when you go onto the internet, you go onto social media, not to potentially look for a property, but when you're on your phone, the majority of the time, if you look at the statistics on your settings on your iPhone, you will see that the majority of the time is spent on social media. And so where do you want to be? On social media.
Yeah.
And the big companies, I don't think, can do that. And you're right. They don't want to deal...
But-
people don't want to deal with a big corporate. They want to deal with a person.
But also, I think nowadays, even if you were to call in, a high street brand, people like doing their research. Just like if you're dating a girl, which none of us have done in 10 years or however long, if you're dating a girl, one of the first
I
things...
have.
Oh yeah, of course one of the first things that you'll do is you'll probably search that girl or guy on social media, and the same as in business.
Yeah.
Whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Instagram, when I know we do it when we research our clients, and I'm sure our clients do the same. You know, if we're going into their house, they will have done research on us, and having that social media presence is basically your digital CV.
Yeah.
You know, because they can see that I have a fiance, they can see that I just had an engagement party, they can see that I like Arsenal and I'm a human, and it's a different level than just this is the name of the company, this is Joe Bloggs who's going to be there, and that's it. And I think that is helping and playing into the hands of the individual. And unfortunately, the corporate world puts the brand first with the agent behind. What we're doing at our brokerage, and we're very fortunate that our brokerage supports that, is that actually they're flipping it around, that we're at the forefront and the brokerage sits behind. Because ultimately, when I do a post, when you do a post, it's going to people that know us and they want to receive that content from us, rather than e-blasting to a whole database that doesn't result in much.
Yeah.
And I think that is pivotal as well, through the use of social media. I know you said it's not the be-all and end-all. I live and breathe for social media because it gets us business, but it's my shop.
Yeah.
My page is my shop.
I'd also like to add, you know, you said you're an Arsenal fan and you said they're going to be doing research into you. I'd like to also add that not everybody is going to like you and get on with you or want to work with you.
Sure.
And that is okay.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Not everyone's going to like you. Someone might be a Spurs fan. And they see you're an Arsenal fan, they're like, okay, I'm not going to call him. I'm going to call Ollie instead.
Bit petty, but
Yeah.
because he's an Ipswich fan, because Ipswich aren't a threat to Spurs.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in
But
there as well.
I guess it has its pros and cons, because obviously social media is a snapshot in one moment in time, you know, that is curated. Unless you're doing stories, which we do, which, you know, are a bit more natural, it can have its negative connotations in as far as they might look at my profile and think this guy looks like a you know, bit of an idiot, and I don't want to deal with him. So you're right. So I guess, but we're
Get that a lot.
no, fortunately no. Well, no.
But they don't social
okay.
on the social. We don't put, you know, those hours that we've spent, you know, sitting in someone's living room, telling them everything that's going on in the market, advising them in the correct way, and then leaving not with the business that day, because it might come 6 months later, might come a year later, it might come 2 years later. You know.
Well, so there's the property that we're trying to get into, which we obviously won't name. You know, Daniel and I have been there 3, 4, 5 times, an hour and a half.
What do you mean by trying to get into? Sorry.
So we're waiting for the right moment when it's appropriate to bring Ollie into the property. We're in the process of getting everything signed up, and it might be a bit premature arranging previews and those sort of things for the time
All right,
being.
I see. So you want to show Ollie what the property
Because
looks
Ollie
like.
has a potential client for it.
Got it. Okay.
But my point was, you know, as you said, we've spent hours and hours and hours going there. And the most fascinating thing, the meeting was today. He said, I'm going to give it to you because I'm so intrigued what you guys are doing. I've had the Knight Franks. I've had the Savills. You guys are flipping everything on its head.
Yeah.
I like you guys anyway, and I was probably going to give it to you anyway. I just want to see what you guys do. And that for me was like, wow, this is a 60-year-old guy, super, super successful, super wealthy. And he's like, I want you guys to give it a shot.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Good.
And now we're going to sell
Love
it.
that.
And we're gonna sell
introduce
it.
the buyer, and then everyone's happy.
That would be a great story.
That would be a great story.
Or maybe someone listening is
That would be a great story.
looking for a property.
Yes, and if you are looking to sell your property,
Call me. Call me.
do not call the institute.
No, it's going to be very interesting, isn't it, over the next 5 to 10 years? But I think the biggest thing for me, bar all of the social stuff that I've taken, even just from sitting here now, is us three are so driven to be successful, so driven for our clients. We'll go above and beyond. And there's a lot of the younger generation, I think sometimes we think it's going to be quick wins.
No.
You know, and we've said about
Absolutely
how
not.
we've sold 130k was my first property, you know, £130 a week. You know, it doesn't just come overnight. And you have to graft and you have to spend so much time growing yourself as an agent to get into the positions that we are now. And unlike you guys, I mean, I went to university for 6 months. You know, people.
That was a quick course.
Yeah.
Or you
No, I
left.
left. You know, when I was 18 or so at the time. You know, I think schools nowadays push you into, okay, what university are you going to? You know, and I was like, at that time, I was like, I don't know
Of course,
what I
because
want
the
to do.
government want you to get into debt.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, and I don't want to know what sector I want to be into, and everyone was just kind of doing that, you know. But ultimately, I just knew in my mind, as soon as I find something, I know I can do it. I know I'll be the best at it. And I think when we all found, I mean, you two obviously finished up at university as well, but after that, as soon as you found what you want to do, we were just so laser driven to do it 7 days a week in the evenings whenever someone needed us. That's ultimately how I think we've got to this position today. You know, and kept our minds open to the industry.
But I think what's also interesting, and I definitely wouldn't say we've reached where we were aiming to get to.
Definitely
You know,
not.
we're selling 10 million plus homes, you know, super prime rentals. We have, I'm sure you guys do as well. I have just as much desire today to take me to the next level as I did for the last 8 years.
If not more.
If not more.
100%.
Because I've seen, you know, I've seen what it takes to get here, and I'm like, okay, well, I've done that. I've done the graft, and actually, like, let's take it to the next level.
And also, you're more experienced.
More experience now, so I can double down on I know what works.
100%.
And
Nowhere near the level we want to be at yet.
but I think you know it's kind of in a way probably a lot of people that will be watching this, you know, with the generation just beneath us, you know, because how advanced the world is with Amazon, you click a button, next day there's something coming to your door. That's just the world we live in. You know, if something breaks, you just chuck it out and you buy a new one rather than work on fixing it. I think there's such a need for quick wins and, you know, short term rather than the long picture. But I think, you know, they'll learn. I think they'll learn.
What would you say is your ideal client? Describe your ideal client. Let's go with seller.
Question. Your ideal
Great
client.
question.
Thank you. I'm here once every 3
Look, I think
weeks.
everyone, everyone's ideal client is a client that will ultimately agree with everything that you say.
Take this price.
Yeah.
Put it on for that price.
Of course, we get challenged a lot. We have to back up and show our clients how we've got to that strategy, how we've come to that pricing element or whatever it may be to back up while we are the professional. But ultimately, a client that actually says, yeah, that's great, let's do it. And is open to reactions to the marketplaces, because we know we have to be ahead of the forefront. You know, we have to be ahead of the curve, ahead of the wave. We have to see 2-3 weeks into the future when something's going to react. And sometimes going to a client and saying, this is happening, 2 weeks, you know, this is happening now, or whatever it may be. We have to act. We have to pivot from our strategy slightly now to do it. And for them to trust in you to say, yeah, actually, you're right, we need to do that now. Of course, for everybody, I think that for me, that's like the perfect client. But what would you say? It's a very good question.
I asked you guys.
Well,
Benji.
I mean, to tie in with what you said, and I always do it as a bit of a test. When I
Test your clients.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When I walk into the home, and sometimes we'll go and walk the house.
I get
first.
it. Let me guess. Do you walk in and say, they say to you, so what do you think it's worth? What do you think it's worth?
No.
Good, that was a test. You're right. We'll go with that.
It's only a small thing. Sometimes we'll walk the home first, or sometimes we'll sit down first. I always like asking, where do you want me to sit? And I always find it very interesting if they want me to sit next to them or opposite them. Because if I'm sat opposite them, we're against each other, perhaps. If they say straight away, come and sit next to me, you know you're on the same team. And it's only a small detail, but I guess tying in with what you say, of them agreeing with what you say, because ultimately we're the experts, right? We'll do the due diligence before we go. We know what the neighbour's house is sold for. We probably sold it, X, Y, and Z. But it's the finer details and being on the same page.
What's that? Mic drop.
Yeah, that's a
That was
little golden nugget.
That was very good. I like that.
Yeah, it's I haven't told many people that, but now everyone knows.
Okay.
So you can all
Benji's
try
secret
it.
is out there.
That's quite clever.
But there's you know, so many different clients. You know, we deal with people from all over the world, different ages. It's just really someone you get on with.
We're still talking about clients.
Still talking about clients.
Okay.
You want to get on with the clients, right?
Yeah.
You do.
You know, if you look at the most experienced people in the industry, they're best friends with their clients.
Yeah.
And we're getting there.
And friends give you business.
And friends give you business.
100%.
They are big. Our clients are our biggest advertisers.
Definitely.
Because if we do a good job for them,
Referral is massive.
their whole network is our potential client base.
Yeah.
And if they've just sold and all their friends know, and they say, you've got to call Alex, you've got
Yeah.
to call Ollie, you've got to call Benji. No, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And then when you're going into their home, you're sitting next to them because you've already had that soft
relationship,
introduction
yeah,
rather
one.
than a cold call.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what else is quite nice? It's we deal with, obviously, like you said, some of the high power CEOs, people who don't have much time. When you have conversations, it's quick. There's no chit chat. There's no rapport built. You are like, this is the facts. This is the facts. This is the facts. They're pushing you. And it's stressful and it's difficult. At times when you finally get that result, and you get that, even if it's an email, just say thank you. How good that feels.
It's the best.
That because it's been, you've been.
It sounds
pushed.
like you're a people pleaser.
I think no.
From this and your why, it sounds like
why.
Yeah.
It's the biggest, like Benji said, referrals in this. We wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for referrals. And
yeah, absolutely. Not.
But ultimately, that end time of them just saying thank you for that, or where you've had to. It's a very emotional game what we play as well, and we're often not just stats and data. We have to deal with people's emotions. We have to bring people up when something's going wrong, and we have fall throughs. We have price chips. We have to deal with those emotions. And even the most high power CEOs and people that we deal with still go through that emotion. So we're the ones having to juggle that. So when it finally happens and you look back and you go, God, I'm so glad I trusted you, Ollie, or whatever it may be, or I took your advice, or thank you for navigating me through that patch in the middle. That for me is the buzz.
And it's a really interesting point because what a lot of people don't realise about agents is that if we're fortunate enough, we have a few transactions going on at the same time. And their journey, which is huge to them, and they're moving, they're downsizing, things go wrong, that's huge for them, and we're dealing with that situation. We might have 3 or 4 of those situations happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And us as agents, which some people don't realise, is we're trying to live 4 people's disasters all at the same time and trying to sort everything out.
100%.
Which some people don't realise because they'll be,
Yeah.
I'll be an agent, make loads of money, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Just open a door and you sell a home.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that.
Massively.
Way more.
So
more.
much
Massively.
Ollie, when did you join DDRE Global? Remind me.
I think it was the first couple of days of November, so it's about 3 months ago now.
3 months ago now.
Yeah, 2.5 months.
Okay, and as one of the most recent advisors who've
Yes.
joined DDRE Global, what advice would you give someone, or what have you been through? Have you found any pain points? Would you do anything differently? How have you found that? Because you've gone
Yeah.
from being in
Yes.
an employed role,
Yeah.
in I'd say medium to large company.
Yeah.
Which was bought by Warren Buffett as well.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you've been through that transition within
Yeah.
internally, and now you've made the jump from having a secure, safe salary every month,
Yeah.
and you've got a child,
Yes.
to saying no to that salary, cutting off the business,
Yeah.
and everything you knew and that was, and your team,
Yeah.
to go it alone, but not so much alone. You're an entrepreneur, but within another business. How's that been for you?
Honestly, and not just saying, it's been one of the best 3 months of my whole career.
Wow.
Honestly, hands down. I've been thinking about doing it for 6 months prior to doing it, probably even a year, probably 2 years really. And it takes a bit of time to have the corners, what do they say?
Oh, yes, Spanish, yes.
There we go, get the Spanish element into it.
The minerals.
The minerals to jump, to jump into the deep end, to cut a salary where, we had a couple of extremely, good offices. There was probably always going to be a level of business. It was comfortable.
Comfortable, exactly.
To actually say, no, do you know what? First of all, I want more for me. I want more for my family. And I want to, if I don't do it, I'll never do it. And I think so many people I know and other agents are also kind of in that headspace a lot. And it's jumping.
Would you say that's a mental block?
Yeah, that is the mental side of it. You have to prepare yourself for the risk element. But I think since I've done it, and I think you guys have been so great for me, because I look up to you and seen how you guys have done it, and admire it. I've admired it for so many years, and I kind of think, do you know what? It was probably you two and Remy and the guys who were probably prior to us, the new advisors, which made me thought, fuck it. Do you know what? This is what I want to do. You know, so you two inspired me to take that jump. And now to like sit here, like we said actually before the podcast, you know, I used to watch you guys on socials. We might have had a few kind of chats between us when we might have had an applicant or something like that together, you know. To now actually sitting here with you two doing this is like, honestly the best thing. It's the best thing I've almost ever done. And Daniel, the team, the background team are just immense. You know, I've already done it. I already did a deal with my first month. I've got a couple of offers now, and it's just as soon as you get that light bulb, that little click, and it all falls into place. Nothing like it. So
Good.
It's been amazing. Yeah.
Good.
And thank you for you too as well. You know, as I say,
You
it's
are
been
welcome.
inspirational in
Thank you.
It's been good having you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We're learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from you.
Thank
Likewise.
You know, that's the good thing about new brokers and the best brokers coming into our business is that we can learn from everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone can always learn.
Yeah.
You never know everything.
Yes.
Imagine for a second if everybody, all 20 people within DDRE were all Benjis.
20 Benjis.
Oh, I can't imagine.
What value?
One's bad enough.
What an amazing
No,
squad.
not even
What's
that.
the,
It's
what's
bad.
the angle
Can
you're...
you, I mean, like, it's good that everybody's different. Everyone
Yeah.
brings something different
I
to the
see what you
table.
mean.
Everyone brings something
Well,
different to the
that's what-
table and you learn from each other.
Well, that's what Daniel wanted to create. Daniel.
Oh, Daniel,
Mr.
yes.
Super Prime. That's what he wanted to create, a diverse office environment
Yeah.
that people learn in the office, different things, different ways of working. And we're just going to take over the world.
And what about, I mean, you've asked me that question. Obviously, I'm only 2-3 months into
Yeah.
a self-employed, my own business, you know, entrepreneurial role. You guys have done, Alex, you did it for a kind of few more years prior to DDRE, but Benji especially, you know, coming from a similar background.
Yeah.
More directly a year. How long have you been at DDRE now?
So
Is it-
I joined on February the 13th of
so
last
coming up
year.
to a year.
So coming up to a year.
Yeah. So how, like a year later, what have you learned? What would you say to Benji a year ago
Yeah.
that you know now that you didn't then?
I mean, in truth and being completely honest, it's been a hard year. Doesn't mean it's not been a good year. It's been a hard year because I've learned an awful lot. I've probably learned more in the last year, and this is not in any way to disrespect previous managers, but I would say I've learned more in the last year than I have in the last 7.5 years, and that's changing a lot. I came from selling 1, 2, 3 million pound homes, doing 20-30 deals a year, to selling or being involved in 20-30 million pound homes, doing a handful of transactions a year. And that's a huge change. I was very, very comfortable where I was, incredibly comfortable.
You've both used that word now.
It's
interesting.
And I think being comfortable is a scary place to be.
Yeah.
Very scary. But yeah, best thing I ever did.
Yeah, nice.
Best thing I ever did. And what would I say to myself a year ago? I wouldn't say do it sooner, because I'm very grateful for the time I had in the previous business, because I learned a lot, I networked a lot. But I would just say do it. Yeah. Because I was a bit worried,
We all
I had 3 months gardening leave, so a year and a bit ago I was worried.
Yeah.
Just bought a home with my girlfriend. Yeah. Had fixed outgoings. And it's a worry.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people watching this will be in exactly the same boat. So I would say to myself a year ago, don't worry.
Yeah.
All will be okay.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it's turned out.
Nice.
And with the drive that we have, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
No chance.
Can't go wrong.
Definitely.
No. Guys, thank you very much for listening. That's the end of the podcast. Remember, we don't run ads. We do not make money. We're doing this for you guys. Hopefully you gained value, or it made you laugh, or it helped. If it has, please like, share, follow, subscribe to the podcast. You can find me at Alex_Ivagora.
You can find me at Benji.Weinberger.
And you can find me Oliver.Ingles, Ingles.
Follow us all. Also, drop a comment. Let us know what you'd like to see on the next podcast, or if you want to even be on the show, let us know. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Guys.